I've stolen an hour at the end of a dry day because I'm not getting enough time to work on this. I have a self-imposed deadline and I need to get a wriggle on. So what I want to do is hack most of this wing out. Then I can devise a plan for the order in which I repair it. Neil has very kindly removed everything along the top, but the reason we did it this way is to reduce the amount of mess inside the garage. The fastest, easiest way is to just put a saw all the way through there, then cut down into this top piece to release it. I made Neil do it the laborious way by drilling out all the plug welds. He's done all along the top. He's undone the 4 really irritating bolts down there, but it's still welded in here, down there, along that lower lip, and then the whole way around the wheel arch, and then along the sill. So there's a lot still hanging on. So I've pumped up the tyres and pushed it out the front of the garage so I can chop through it without making the garage really grubby. So I won't be filming like as I do it. I'm just going to get it done. What I've just done is taken the grinder with a thin blade and run it all the way around here. Obviously there's an inner arch in there which I do not want to disturb if I don't possibly have to. There will probably need to be some little patch repairs because water always collects in there. What is also not so good is there's quite a lot of filler in this wheel arch lip. Yet again, I'm happy I'm swapping the wings because there's no point doing this amount of work on a car and putting more gob in there. And this smells like 80s vintage filler. It just has, I don't know why, but 80s filler smells different to modern fillers. So there again you can see fillery goodness. So what I might do is cut straight through the middle of the wing, and I can work my way forwards and backwards. I don't know, I'll just keep chopping and see where it wants to release and where it doesn't. Tiny little update, just realised that I can put my paint scraper in here and then just wallop it round, and it's cutting through the bit where I've just sort of scored it with that, and that seems to be working pretty well. Wing is now off. You can see that we have really cut away pretty lightly. Most of that's going to need a repair. The actual well itself is pretty good. Obviously we will need to repair that top seam. Knew we were doing that. Tidy all that up and do the final trimming easy. Down here we have a hole through there, so that will need some work. Bottom of the sill, I'll snap that off in a minute. Really, we aren't going to know, or I'm not going to know how much I need to do in here until I get the rest of this off. Bits of it look fairly solid, bits of it don't. It might be I have to put a whole lip on, I don't know yet. More excavation required. You can kind of see, well, what rather frustratingly appeared to be quite a solid area, apart from a tiny bit of scab there. When you then actually look at the car, everything behind was missing. Now, I'm not 100% sure this has had a wing before. I think it's the original wing. It's just been gobbed in at the front on the top and then stone chipped black. So it looks really nice, but clearly wasn't. So that's quite annoying. Never mind. Just suck it up, get on with it. I still haven't decided whether I'm going to put a new inner wing on it or whether I'll just patch this one. I really need to cut the rest of this off. If I made the decision to do the whole inner wing now, it would make the process a lot faster and a lot simpler, because rather than being fussy about picking that arch lip off nicely, I can just lop the whole thing off, you know, 10 mil up, shove it on, new one. In fact, the more I think about it, the more I should probably just do that, bite the bullet, get it done quick. I'll go and see what I have in stock. Here is one Rover prepared earlier. Obviously I'm not going to change the whole panel, I'm just going to cut the bit I need, which is probably along that line to the lip, and then the first inch of that lip all the way around, down, where are we, down to about there probably. So, you know, by the time I've picked this off, I would have to be fabricating this whole lip, and you saw how long that was going to take. It's just going to be so much faster if I mark, cut, offer this up, cut, check, do it again, and then particularly down here in this area, because what you've got is the sill there, what should be the sill, and this lower lip, which should go on to that, and that is all missing. So I'm going to chop. I mean, that's quite lucky in many ways. Is that a hole? Before I decide what I do, I might have to have a bit of an explore in here, but that's all good metal down to about here. So what I might do is trim that off, make sure all that's solid, cut the sill off up to about here or something, put the new wheel arch lip in all the way through, sill back on top, wing on top. Jobs are good. Right, down here, this is the leading edge of the sill. I've taken the paint off because I found some filler and I poked it and I found a hole. So basically, gonna have to cut up here. Probably, what's that? Is that another hole? Yeah, another hole there. Probably gonna have to take a bit more paint off, chop all the way up there, and replace the front end of the sill, which is annoying. It ain't the biggest drama in the world because I knew I'd be chopping up a sill for this car anyway. I've just checked, there's a dent there and there's a load of rust at the back, which I knew about. So basically, gonna take a brand new sill, cut the forward end off and the rear end, put it on this, keep the middle, because the B post and that area just wants some tiny repairs. There's no point unpicking the whole sill like I did on the other side of the car. This is gonna come down and form, we're gonna keep all of that bit. So the whole wheel arch lip, we're not going to separate it, we're going to keep it as one whole piece all the way through here. So it'll come down behind that, about all the way through, and then I've got something to go back onto with the sill. So fair bit more work than I thought, but that's just the way these cars go. So that is what we shall do. Once again, some more choppage later. So I've cut out more of the sill because, you know, it doesn't actually matter how much I chop out, as long as I don't go above that line, keep it in the black, I can join it nicely, fine, whatever, done. I've cut it back so that I can be sure that there's no more nasty rust in here. That is all just surface, and then when you look along inside the rest of the sill, you can't see, but with a torch I can see that actually the inner sill is all really good. So this bit will be unpicked, probably chop through there, remove that bit, remove all of that bit, up in and around here. That all comes off this panel there. You can see that letterboxy bit there. That's that bit. So we've got all of that in new metal all the way through. Once I've picked that off, I'll probably put a plated repair over the inner sill here, so I've got something nice to go back onto with a sill, remove this offending bit of sill, and then probably join it there like that all the way through, and that will sandwich back on the inner arch, and away we go. But I just cut through my finger, which is nice. I really should take my wedding ring off. Somebody noticed I got married. That's one of the other reasons I haven't done much on cars, not because the missus says no, but just, you know, wedding plans and stuff like that. So yeah, I'll have another little bit of a play, picking at scabs. Actually, I could probably join it there, then I only have to cut through that bit. All that metal's good, this bit's crap, but that will come away nicely. Won't have to disturb that seam. I can just seam weld, stitch weld the panel on there. Cool. Just stuck a whole load of plastic over the front. Not particularly neatly, but it's in there. What else was I doing? Oh yeah, I was looking at the rest of this wing. If I had more time, I would have retained this inner arch, because actually from there all the way around to there, it's this surface that I can see is perfect, just surface rust. Section in there would need to be cut out, replaced. It's tolerable, really good in there, then it goes crap all the way down to there. If I had more time, I would have just repaired it. I'm not going to bother, because there is a risk that when I unpicked this return from the outer wing, I would damage that and I would find frilly bits, and then I would end up cutting it off and doing it anyway. But most people wouldn't bother. They would just pick that off and rely on the new wheel arch lip to kind of hide all that, but that's not really sort of my style. So it is going to come off, but it, you know, I'll be open to criticism of like, why are you chopping up a perfectly good inner wing to repair just that bit? But it's not just that bit, it's because it carries on into here, and that's going to help me out and speed things up generally. So I'm just titting around. I am waiting for it to stop raining. It has actually stopped raining. It's just doing that weird Scotch mist thing, and the ground is very wet, so I still don't want to push the car outside. But I'll work out a plan. I'll mark up the new panel and degrease it, trim that, work out where it's going in there. Then when that's done, hopefully I'll have beat that back into shape. I'll have thrown a few tacks on to stabilize it. I can investigate that area and just kind of work my way through the car kind of organically, and just carry on. I'm not going to film too much today because I just want to get stuff done. If it's anything interesting, I'll report it back. Turn the football down. It's the Manchester United or a City game today at Old Trafford, so that kicks off at 1 o'clock, so at least that will keep me company. Anyway, today also I have cleaned off all of the cavity, well, it's not cavity wax, it's delivery wax, 1980s goop. Just cleaned all that off inside and outside. I've marked up on the wing where I'm going to cut, and I just need to do the final tidy up down there to work out exactly how much of that I need. Then I can chop it out. Well, not much constructive has happened, but there has been more destruction, as you can tell by the mess on the floor. Basically, this bit, I think I might say basically quite a lot, but there you go again. This whole area ties in with the inner sill, the floor and the chassis rail. I just wanted to check before I got stuck in what the actual inner and floor was like. So I've been excavating the front footwell. It hasn't changed my plan. I'm still gonna run a little stitch there to tie the inner sill to the floor, the bulkhead area. A little one along here to do the same. I don't think I need to do those. Then I'll make a patch or a plate, I'll trim that bit off, repair to the lower part of the inner sill that comes down as factory as it should, tied into the chassis outrigger thing. It's not really an outrigger, I guess it is maybe, but it's not like your old MGs or anything like that, or VW split screen stuff. I found a bit more rust back here, so my sill repair section is going to end there. Same sort of shape, but just longer, no big deal. It just adds about 6 inches worth of seam. This lip for the bottom of the inner sill, rearward of that point, is actually really good all the way along. What's not so good, and it doesn't affect what I'm doing with the wing at this stage, and I always knew I was going to have to do the floor, because I had to do the floor on that side of the car over there and back there as well. It looks like it's rusty, it's not, it's just surface rust. This area down there will need to be attended to, but again, it's not urgent. But down here, the big hole, as Rover fans will know, is just a big plug that would have been in the floor, same as that one down there. They look like paint pot tin lids, and all they were for was when these body shells were going through the paint line, they were immersed in large tanks of anti-corrosion and primer and stuff like that, and these holes in the floor pan were to allow all of that material to drain out quickly. So they're just like a paint pot lid that sits in there and then gets seam sealed in, which is why you've got this circular seam sealing mark. So that is not a big deal, but we do have a hole there. That's the top of the chassis rail extension piece, or outrigger, whatever you want to call it. I've got a little hole there and a hole there, because on the diesels there's a massive sound insulation pad that goes above the gearbox on the underside of the transmission tunnel, same as on the 2 litres 4-cylinder cars. They were trying to like make them nice and quiet, which probably didn't work as well as it could have done. But basically the chassis rail is fine. All of that is just, where people have jacked it up or it's struck a curb or something, and just taken the paint off. That's all good. This is the insulation panel thing, and that's probably trapped moisture. The whole exhaust is coming off and being replaced with a stainless one. So no dramas, but basically that I know I need to do, the floor I need to do, but I just know now that actually I'll chop a bit more off, repair the inner sill, weld it to there, and then when I get round to doing the floor, that can be dropped in from above, and I'm not going to have to disturb this area. So it's already just part of the plan, trying to think my way through it logically and making sure I don't do the same job twice or do something down here that's going to compromise me when I do the floor later. Oh, that's 4 minutes of chatting. It's crazy. Right, despite telling myself I wasn't going to do any grinding in here, it's still raining. It's just miserable. I don't have time really to hang about, so I've covered everything up as best I can, and I've just gone for it, keeping the grindings directed to the ground as much as possible. Don't really care about the concrete, that's going to be ground smooth. It's just getting crap and rust in the environment. Anyway, what I did was marked out on the wing 20 millimeters from these scribe lines to the lip of the old wheel arch there, and I did that all the way around. This doesn't matter because that bit's solid and I can judge where the wing sits from here, so that's not a problem. All the way around, same again there, one down there, another one down there. So when I come to offer up the other inner wing lip, I know that I'm in the right place. And I also, can you see that like bulge there? That is in the inner wing. There's another one somewhere as well, and basically that will help me locate it for height. So that's now off. We can see, even if I had retained and reused that, I probably wouldn't have been happy. There's crappy bits there. So yeah, all for the bent. Somebody asked the very sensible question, could I not have chopped good bits out of the front wing and used it to repair the rear? That's an excellent thought. Hadn't thought of it. Good suggestion. I didn't do that. It's doubtful that I would have had enough good metal to do it. A lot of what looked like perfect metal was actually filler. So, you know, once you start picking these seams apart, that looks lovely there. Then when you look inside, it's rusty. So I could have done that if I'd had good metal, but I don't, you know, in hindsight, I don't think I would have had it anyway. But right, that's all chopped out. I've chopped that bit down there, so I'm going to make up some cardboard templates for that area. Then that goes in first, that bit, welded onto here, inner wing, butted up there. Then I can chop up my new inner wing and get it fitting roughly right there. I've also trimmed off the last little bits of the wing at the front here and along the top. So doing pretty well. Just need to get this on really. Okay, made a cardboard template. Found some quite chunky steel. I think that's 1.2 mil, which is perfect for the inner sill. So that's going to go in there. I need to put a fold in it because this is vertical and then the inner sill slopes out. So I'll go into the workshop and put that in the metal folder and just give it a tweak. The inner wheel arch lip I have trimmed, and I've just done a, don't know why I took it off actually. It's balanced on there nicely, but yeah, that fits perfectly as you would expect it would because it is an original Rover panel. So I'm going to weld that bit in after I put the fold. Then we can prep the wheel arch lip and then begin welding that on. I have brought over Mr. MIG welder. Got my patch with the little bend in it, so that will go there. The extension chassis rail, whatever that hell that thing is, they always sit a little bit below the actual edge of the sill, so that's about right. The sill then wraps over the end of it, which is why there's a step there. So I can snot that on and then get fitting up the wheel arch lip. So that's what I'm going to do now. Still can't find the GoPro. I have bought a new GoPro Somebody very kindly offered to send me one, but I haven't really worked out how to do that. But we shall see. But anyway, no filming, just migging. Right, that bit is in. Seamed all the way up along across there. I had to bend this panel out a bit to get the welder in to do that bit. Tacked it onto the front there. Just gonna now tack, where was it? That seam there. That is the inner wing to inner sill. What is it? No, it's firewall to inner sill. It's actually seam weld or spot welded there, but I'm just gonna stitch it here because I can. And then I think we are ready to start dummy mounting the front wing. It's nearly lunchtime and I want to listen to the rest of the football, so I'll go in now. I might just look how lovely that weld is. When you're comfortable and you can see what the hell you're doing, it's great. I am using the Stealth welder mask. The disadvantage is you can't just flip it up as easily as I could with my full face one. But my full face one has died. It doesn't respond at all. It is just dead. This has served me very well. It was only a cheap 20 quid one, I think, 30 quid. So I might just buy another one. That was 100 quid and it is good, but I think I'm going to save it and keep it nice when I'm doing up inside wheel arches, because that's why it's the shape it is. It's like very small profile. Right, enough shittery chat. I'm going to go do some more stuff. That is in and done. I've just zinc painted the inside of the new arch lip. I was going to drill the holes for the plug welding, but I'm hungry, so I'm going in to get some lunch. And just another view. Come on. Fucking thing. Alright. Now we have an inner sill where the floor ultimately will go or back onto. So all looking rather healthy. I'm back from lunch. I have eaten some chicken that was 3 days old, so it's staying in at the minute. Whether it does for the rest of the afternoon, we shall see. I just loosely clamped that new arch lip and panel in. I've now drilled the plug weld holes ready for welding, and I'm just double checking my reference lines. So that one there was 20 millimeters, which it is. That's the shoulder that I was talking about. The other one is down here, another mark. There is quite a lot of movement still. This is the problem. You can weld this on all beautifully and then find your wing doesn't go on over the top. So what I need to do is mark where I think it needs to be, and then probably do some fairly crude tacks just in a few places. Then I'll offer the wing up just to double check it is in the right place before I finally commit to welding, because obviously I can't put the wing on with these clamps, get in the way, and there isn't enough overlap for self tappers. So I will, where I've got nice clear measurements, I'll clamp and zap it with a welder, and then offer up the wing. This whole lip needs to be dressed before I can do that, because obviously that's quite a critical point. So I need to dress all of those wobbly bits flat. I won't weld them up yet. I'll do that tomorrow. Hopefully it has stopped raining, so hopefully if I carry on with that bit, get that nice and flat, off the wing up, I can do a little bit of welding. Then tomorrow I can do that bit nicely and weld the wing on. Oh no, I can't weld the wing on. I've still got to do the sill, haven't I? What dumbass. Right, okay, anyway, I'm going to carry on. This is why stuff like this takes ages. I have still got I haven't tacked anything yet. It's still just in the dummy phase. So what did I do? I beat the top rail straight, haven't welded any of it. I just wanted to throw the wing on to see that it would sit okay along the top. So remove my safety stay, and you can see that it is fine basically. So it's sitting down on it at the front, and along here, but obviously when you pinch it with your fingers, the top rolls in, so it will probably be a case of me welding it where it touches so it goes solid, and rather than putting the wing down onto the top of the inner wing, I'll be moving the inner wing up to meet it. Doesn't really matter, it's just you have to be conscious of all of these things, because if you just do it in one place at one time, you end up with it fitting great over there and a big baggy gap here, or lovely along the top but horrible down here. So it's another, I don't say it often, but slowly catchy monkey type deal. But so far so good. That can come off now. I'll do what I said, tack a couple of bits, and I'll tack a couple of the splits in that top rail to stiffen it, and then we can pull it off again, check it, double check it, weld it, and then I can do the sill, because the sill can't go on until this panel is on. That panel goes on before the wing and the sill. So yeah, chasing the tail a bit. So I did some more fettling, then I did some tacks. Started with that one because I had a good 20mm line there, 20mm from that line to that edge. Same again here, so that's set the arch height. That can only go in one place. Down here, I used my 20mm measurement there, and I've just thrown a couple of tacks in here, here, and a clamp at the back. Now, I will offer the wing up again and see how that fits. It should be perfect, but you never know. I don't know where we went a bit northern there, but this might be a two-handed job. Well, I am feeling quite confident about this one. That fits really nicely. I have clamped it at the front there. All of this is still free to move. You can move it in and out, not a big deal. So it's sliding on the top of that rail, but that's what I want, because I want the freedom to maintain this nice bonnet gap, which is why we did all these measurements. It fits beautifully to the arch lip. It's really snug, and yet I can fit it and remove it. Not a big deal, that's good. You can see how tight that is. Sometimes you end up with a massive gap, or you're actually having to smash the wing to get it onto the inner wing. It fits really nicely down here at the bottom as well, which is another big plus. So that inner sill that I've fitted, inner wing, outer wing is butting right up against it. And then if I look at these, obviously you've still got the freedom to move this backwards and forwards. This mostly gets controlled by the 4 nuts that are inside, or 4 bolts. But up here, I wanted 5mm. Got 5mm. Down here, wanted 6mm. Got 6mm. Same again there. So basically, all that's telling me is that that piece that I've tacked in is not stopping me from getting the correct alignment with the door. It looks good at the sill, or I know I can make it good at the sill, and I know I've got the forward, like in and out movement of the top wing against that piece that I've just straightened. So the wing can come back off again. I can weld the wheel arch lip in. I can weld and prepare that top deck ready for the wing to be plug welded onto it. Then I can start doing the sill. Then when the sill's done, put the wing back on. Then the same the other side. Then the floor, then the B pillar, then the rear end of the sill. Oh dear. Well, I've done probably half of the wheel arch. I start to poison myself slightly because the under seal higher up is burning off. But we have lovely little stitches. It's all going to be, I'm only doing it in stitches to reduce the heat. They're both curved shapes, and there's a lot of metal here, and it's quite a cold day, so nothing's going to warp to the point where it's going to ruin anything. So I probably could just seam weld it, but I'm doing it in little stitches, and then periodically clean it off, get the crud out of these bits, and then I'll fill the rest of it in. It's nice not welding outside in the wind. It's like when it's not windy, you can actually do quite neat welds. Nothing blowing my gas away. So that's nice. But yeah, more of the same. Weldy, 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 weld. Weldy, 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 weld. I won't bother going mental seam weld. I might seam weld it, I don't know, but the spot welds go in there, or plug welds. This bit is actually, it hangs free. There's nothing behind here. That is there only to accept the wing and the sill from this side. So the sill will come down and sit on that bit, sit in that recess there, and then the wing will go over the top along the whole line. Yeah, so I am going to carry on doing that. I'll throw in some welds just here where these bits have been split, and there again. I might go and see if I've got some copper as well. I'll clamp the copper to the underside, then I can turn the heat down low, weld in from the top, linish it smooth, and we'll have a nice stable platform for the wing to sit on. Golly gosh, that took forever. There's actually quite a lot of weld on this to do. So starting at the back, stitched to the old remaining inner wing all the way through. Got a bit messy under here because I hadn't cleaned enough of the seam sealer out. So this stuff, there is on SD1s on some panels a sealer, not actually over the joints but between the spot welded joints, which can be annoying. So that's in, then all the way around the wheel arch lip. It is one big long seam all the way to the front, and then excuse me, old man noises down there as well. I've stitched a couple of the bits, but I can't find any copper, so I'll have to go and do I'll have to go and do that later. It is starting to get a little bit dark, and I'm on dinner duty tonight, so I'm gonna have to go up the shops in a minute. So I might stop there, and tomorrow weed it out, clean it off, chop off more sill, weld on sill. I might get a chance to put the wing on tomorrow. I don't know. I'm still in two minds as to whether to do the wing independently of that side or wait until I've got on both. What I could do is weld the wing on so that it meets the door and wheel arch, but leave the top undone. Then I can put the new bonnet on, set the hinges nicely, and do the final welding of the top part of the wing when I've got all the front together to make it absolutely cock on perfect. The risk is that because I'm using this old bonnet and I never set the hinges for height, I could be off at the front and then I'll end up with a slightly wonky front end. You would never notice, it'd probably only be out like a mil each side, but probably best I wait. It worked out a really neat repair. I'm really happy I did it this way. Inside here, there's the light. There should be minimal evidence that it was ever done. So by the time that's got epoxy, then under seal on it, that should all look lovely. And the same this side, so you can see how well it all aligned. I haven't even smacked those panels together, and yet they're pretty much butted up and touching. I'm going to call it a day now, I think, and I'll upload this. This is Saturday night. Hopefully I'll be on this again Sunday, tomorrow. I do have some other jobs to do around the place, but I'm hoping I can get back in the garage. Yeah, fingers crossed. See you later. Have a nice Saturday. Postscript, I totally forgot. If I want to paint, or if I want to get the wing on tomorrow, I need to paint it tonight with the Bonder primer. just to A, stop flash rust, but B, more, you know, this bit I've cleaned off just now, there is some surface rust. The Bonder primer will completely annihilate that, as will cavity wax, which it will get slurried in before the wing, well no, after the wing goes on, but basically I'll fill the bloody thing with wax oil. So I'm going to go find the Bonder primer. All I've done is run the sanding disc over all of this, all down there and around the wheel arch lip. So I'm going to go find that. And really, I'm going to go away now. Bye.